Welcome, everybody. We are live here from the building. Hey, everyone online, good morning to you. My name is Andrew Damasio, and I'm going to be your host for today. Usually, we have some amazing RLC students, which for those of you who don't know, that is our Rose Leadership College students that are your hosts for every Sunday. But today, I have the honor and privilege of hosting Rose Church for this Sunday online. I hope you had a great week. I hope you're safe, you're healthy, you're doing well. Hopefully you're working. Whatever you've been doing this week, hope it's been an awesome week. I cannot wait for today. Today is going to be a pretty special Sunday. It's going to be like any other Sunday we've ever had at Rose. What I want you to do, before we even get to the announcements and some things going on for the day, I want you to text somebody right now. Okay, I got my phone. I'm watching all the chats wherever you're at. Let me know, number one, where you're watching from. I saw some Anchorage, Alaska. We got a lot of Portland people. I saw Omaha, Nebraska in there. Awesome. New Hampshire. What's going on, New Hampshire? We got people watching from everywhere this weekend. Welcome to Rose Church. If this is your first time being with us, maybe somebody sent you a link. Maybe you're scrolling and this popped up on your feed and you're wondering what this is. This is Rose Church. My name is Andrew. My wife and I, Julia, we are the pastors here at Rose Church, and we're so thankful that you spend a morning with us wherever you're watching from, in your bed, eating your cereal, eating your scrambled eggs and bacon, on your way to work, at work, wherever you're watching from today. Welcome to Rose Church. I want you to text somebody right now. Everyone, I know you're on your phone, but if you're on your computer, try to text someone, DM someone, get someone ready to watch today. It's going to be a very, very special Sunday. So make sure all your friends and family are with us today. Whether you're watching on YouTube, send it to somebody, get them off Facebook, wherever they're at, get them onto YouTube today and watch with us. Where is everyone watching from today? Where else are you watching from? Hi, Joy Fitzgerald. Good to see you. Hi, Camille. Shout out to Lindsay and Kyle Ackerson that are watching today. Lindsay tore her Achilles tendon here a few weeks ago. Me and my wife and her husband Kyle, we're all playing pickleball, and I just served a nasty serve, and Lindsay fell and tore her Achilles. I'm just kidding. I didn't serve it. I did absolutely nothing, but it is true. She did tear. So shout out to Lindsay Ackerson watching with her boot on, and she was here last weekend serving and rolling around. Lindsay, you are the best. Shout out to you. Afton, good to see you. Jocelyn, Rachel, Sarah, Maya, Courtney, Caitlin, everybody. Shout out to all of you guys. Hey, a couple announcements for the day as we get ready for church as your host today. Number one is we have welcome dinner coming up. If you are newer to our church, maybe you haven't even been to the building yet, you've been watching online every weekend, but you have joined our family, which, by the way, I think hundreds of people have done that have joined our family over the last 8 or 9 months being online. We've had hundreds of people that have been watching with us and joining Connect Group, either live or virtually. So shout out to you if you've joined our church over the last number of months. If you want to find out more about Rose Church, if you're feeling like this is family for me, I think this is a church for me, why don't you join us for welcome dinner? It's your first step into our church. You get to meet myself, my wife, our team, our staff. We get to talk about who we are, where we're going, where we've been, why we started the church, and our value and our vision, and everything about Rose Church that you'd want to know, you'll find out on this evening. It's coming up, obviously, today is Sunday. This Wednesday, October 7th, this coming Wednesday, October 7th, we have welcome dinner. We have a few spots left, so if you are interested, join with us. Sign up online at rosechurch.org. You can go to the right toggle, take you right there, all to the next steps. Click on welcome dinner. And so join us. We'd love to meet you, especially those of you that have only been on church since online. We haven't even had the chance to meet you yet, so please join us. I think there's a few spots available, and so join us for sign up online for welcome dinner coming live here at the building Wednesday here at the building. So please join us. Also, it is Connect Week. Shout out all the Connect leaders. For those of you that let me know in the chats. Come on, get my phone. Let me know in the chats how many are in a Connect group. How many are in a Connect group? We just got done this week. We have one more today, but we've had so many people all plugged into the Connect groups, either live, people's homes, restaurants, out in the park, over Zoom, people meeting all over the place. And so if you are not in a Connect group, make sure you get in one. It's who we are. It's our lifeline. We are a community. We're not just a service or a gathering on Sunday morning or Sunday night or whenever we gather. We are a family. We want to be in community with you. So if you are newer once again to the church and you haven't joined a Connect group yet, join one. Hey, shout it out, everybody. What is your favorite Connect group? Let me know. What is your favorite Connect group? What Connect group are you in? Let me know. Come on, shout out Emily and Michael, awesome. What Connect group are you guys in? Colton and Channing, amazing group you should join. We have one happening today. If you live in Beaverton over on the west side, we have one happening today at 11:30 right after church out in Beaverton with Justin and Becca. So if you are not in one yet and you live in Beaverton over on the west side, consider theirs for the day. Don't worry, if you missed Connect Week, it starts again tomorrow. It's happening every week for the next 7 weeks. And so if you missed this week, you didn't know about Connect groups, maybe you forgot to sign up, or maybe some were full and you need to find a new one, that's okay. Go online to roasters.org or to the Church Center app, find a Connect group that works for you, and make sure you get on there. They start again tomorrow, happen all week long, so please get in community. Well, how many are ready for Sunday service? How many are ready to get into worship, get into the Word? We're going to have a phenomenal Sunday today. Once again, if you're just now joining us, maybe a friend sent you a link, maybe you're scrolling, maybe this popped up on your feed. I love you. Welcome to our church. Welcome to our family. It's going to be a great day. Get ready to be encouraged, to be inspired, to be lifted up. We're going to talk about who Jesus is today and what he has done in our life and through our life. We're going to worship together. We're going to sing together. And it's going to be the best day ever. Come on, here we go. Let's get ready for worship. I'm leading worship today? No one showed up? Okay, well, I guess, hold on, I guess I have to go lead worship because nobody decides to show up for a Sunday. That's fine, guys, I got it. Jake, don't show up for worship, it's fine. Yeah, don't worry, I'll just do everything today. It's fine, that's fine, just nobody needs to serve today. I'll just do it by myself. All right, are we back live? Are we good? Yeah, we're good. Okay. All right, everybody. Well, nobody's here today. As you noticed, nobody decided to show up and serve today. So I'm going to be leading worship for us today, right here from the good old bass guitar. And so if you're at home, hey, let's get ready to worship. It's going to be a big day with worship, with singing, with celebrating with our words and our worship today. And shout out to the band who decided not to serve today. So, hey, here we go. We're going to sing together as I lead from the bass. Hey, all of you at home, hopefully you know As the Deer. It's a new classic, just came out this last year. Worship top. It's a big song, okay, here in the church world. It's called As the Deer. We're going to lead worship today. Why don't we stand to our feet, and why don't we get ready to worship at home? I'm just kidding. I'm not singing today. That is not real. And by the way, there is no one here today. As you can see, if the team wants to pan around, there is literally nobody in this building today, church. I am by myself. There's not one person outside of 4 creative tech people and camera people to make sure today happens. But I'm here by myself, and there's no one in the building. And the reality is, because I gave the team off today, every person, the staff, the band, the team, RLC, every served person, there's no one here. It is just me today. And don't worry, no, I'm not leading worship. I promise you, God would not show up. It would not be a good day. I promise you that. So I'm not going to lead worship today. But I did tell the team I'm going to run everything by myself. So let's figure out if I can get this camera to work today. If you're online, this is a different Sunday. Welcome to church, and it's going to be a phenomenal day. Let me see if I can figure out how to work this camera. Are we good? I think I turned it on. Is that camera working? Team, did I get it working? Yeah, that's right, I did. I'm doing stuff around here by myself, turning cameras on, leading from the bass, doing pre-show. But to be honest, today is a unique Sunday in that I gave the entire team off. Everyone, every staff member, every band member, most of the tech team, obviously all creative team. There's literally me and 4 people in this entire room. I am by myself today. And the main reason I did that today, I want to challenge you today. We're going to have a really fun time. We're going to get into the word here in a moment. But the reality is, this is what church would be like if nobody decided to serve. This is what would happen if people decided not to lead worship. How many are going to miss worship today? Yes, there is no worship today. I know many of you in the chats, I can see you right here. You guys are going to miss worship today. You know why? Because every week we have an amazing band that shows up at 6:30 in the morning, 7 in the morning. They practice. They get ready. They put lists together. They put so much excellence into their craft to lead worship every Sunday for us. We're gonna have no photos today. We're gonna have no cool shots of check in and check out and welcome team. We're gonna have no photos today. Why? Because our photography team is at home hanging out and relaxing today. But you know why our page is so amazing? Do you know why our feed is so excellently done? It's because we have an entire team that cares about photography and videography and our social feed. Do you know why online goes so well? Do you know why the live stream goes so well? Because of people like Gabe and Madison and Cody and Cameron and Zeke, and outside the 4 or 5 people that didn't get today off because I didn't feel confident enough to run this completely by myself. So I made sure at least a few of them are here. But the reality is our church is who our church is because of you. Because of many of you sitting at home, because of many of you that sing, that lead, that check our kids in and out, that do our welcome team and do our admin team and do our worship and audio and visual and creative and photography and the band and so many aspects of our church. It is because we have a serving team. So I want to shout out every single team lead, every person that serves at our church, usually before COVID, before the last 8 months, and many of you haven't even seen our church in full function yet because of COVID. But the reality is we have over 125 people that serve every single Sunday just to pull Sundays off. And that's every Sundays. Many people serve every other week or at least once a month. But our church is who she is because of serving, because of an attitude that we have here at the house. And this is what church would be like. Shout out Seth for the lights. Seth, amazing light team. Shout out to you, Seth. I know everyone's shouting Seth. I can see all you guys. Shout out to Seth, best lighting person in the whole world. But this is what church would be like if nobody decided to show up. Worship wouldn't happen. Pre-shows wouldn't happen. The tech team wouldn't happen. Photography, videography, kids. We have 21 teams. This is what church would be like if people didn't decide to live bigger than themselves and serve. So shout out to our team leads, to all of our serve teams, every single person that makes church happen. You are the real MVP. Shout out to you guys. We also just don't work really hard. We also have a ton of fun. Let's watch this blooper reel from the last 8 months, some of the funniest clips, some of the amazing times that it didn't go so well. And watch this clip, and we'll come back in a second.
You're doing something.
I just want to... And he's about to show them that. I can't see the word.
I don't know, but we'll figure it out as we go. I'm saying I'm here for it.
I'm here for it.
This ain't my first rodeo.
Let's go. Don't forget to check our bloopers reel.
Bye.
Shout out to all of our teams that have truly done amazing, but there has been some hilarious moments and some hilarious blooper reels, but the team has been amazing. Once again, shout out to all of our serve teams. Today, before we get to the message, I am going to preach today, so if you're like, oh, is this all what service is? No, I am going to get into the word today, and I'm really, really excited to preach, but we're going to do our offering for the day. And if you are newer to our church and maybe newer to church at all, and once again, maybe you're just joining us right now and a friend sent you a link, or you're scrolling on your feed and this decided to pop up, or maybe you've been watching for the last 8 months or the last few weeks you've been joining us. If you're newer to our church, you know that we're a giving community. It's who we are. It's actually one of our values. We have 7 values that govern our church, that lead our church, and one of them is giving, generosity. And you also find out real quick that I have been honest about our finances over the last 2.5 years that our church has been happening. And last week, we talked about our finances, about the last number of months that we've been down financially. And I understand this is not the guilt trip. This is not, if you're not working, I fully understand that. But the reality is our church happens not only because people serve, but because people give. And this last year, we just finished our fiscal year for 2018-19 as we start 2020. We gave away over $50,000. We did so many I Love My City projects. We helped so many single moms and single dads and families during COVID. We've helped give money away and food away and with the Blanchet House and many other things. Why? Because we're called to not just serve, we're called to be generous. We're called to be generous with our finances. And today is obviously the first Sunday of the new month. And I talked about last week that depending on what happened, September was going to be $25,000 lower than August. We ended up around $16,000 or $18,000 lower in September than we did in August. And I know this is a new month, and let's start this month being generous, church. Let's start this month being generous with our finances, being generous with our resource, and getting our finances back and even above where they should be. Why? Because we're called to be generous. The Bible says in 2 Corinthians chapter 8, Paul's challenging these people. And he says, hey, I'm challenging you to give money to the church in Jerusalem. They're going through a trial, and the church in Jerusalem needed some finances. Paul's writing to other churches in Macedonia and Corinth. He's writing to all these other churches to help raise money for the church in Jerusalem. And he says this, the reason why this second giving is easy, second giving being finances, is because we've already done the first giving. We've already given ourselves to the Lord. And I don't know about you, but for me, my second giving, tithing for me, 10% of our resource, tithing, the second giving, it's not easy, but it's easier because I've already done the first giving. I've already trusted the Lord with my eternity. I've already trusted Him with my family, my soul. I've already trusted Him with all the big things in my life. If I can trust the Lord with my eternity, I can trust Him with my wallet. If the Lord is big enough to trust with my eternal significance, my eternal existence, He's big enough to trust with my wallet. And I want to challenge our church today. Let's start this month being generous. On this first Sunday in October, this last fiscal year is over. This month marks the first month in our new fiscal year. Let's start with our generous first step. Let's start with giving. And if you're online right now, obviously everybody is because there's nobody in the building, so we're all online today. There's a link right there in the chats that you can give. Just click that link right there in the chats that Zach and the whole team is sharing. You can give that way. You can also mail, check, or cash here to the building. The address is right there on the screen. You can mail, cash, or check here to the building. Or you can go online to rosechurch.org and give that way. You can also use the Church Center app. You can text to give 84321. Every way that you can give is right there in that the little lower thirds right there on the screen, so you can give that way. Thank you, church. Once again, we're here. We're sitting in this amazing building that we just bought, that we haven't really even been able to use yet, but we're going to real soon. It's not just because we have a serving mindset, it's because we have a giving mindset. And we're here to give. We're here to not hoard. We're not here to hold everything to ourselves. We're here to give and to trust the Lord with our finances. So thank you for doing so. Well, we're going to get into the end of the Bible today, and I know I'm sitting down. I know today's a little different. Once again, I know it's me and 5 people here in the building by ourselves, and usually to hear people amening and here in the building, it's just me today. But don't let the little setup fool you. I am ready to preach today. I have a word in my heart that I can't wait to challenge you with and share with you right now. Let's go to the book of Mark. Wherever you're at home, in your kitchen, in your car, wherever you're at, what are you doing? Grab your Bible, get your phone, get your computer, go with me to the book of Mark. The book of Mark, chapter 9. We've been on a series, for those of you that are just joining us for today, we've been on a series the last number of weeks called Building Big People. And this is our third Sunday and on this collection of talks. And really the whole theme of this series is that we're not trying to build a big church, though numbers do matter to God. We're not trying to build a big church just for a big church's sake. We're trying to build big people. And if we are committed to building big people, inevitably we will build a big church. But we're not here just to fill seats and fill a sanctuary and fill buildings. That's absolutely not what we're trying to do. We're here to build big people. And actually, if you missed it, you should go back and watch the opening Sunday, because really the heart of this series for me is when people walk into our services and walk into our building, they don't just catch a vibe and catch a feel, and this is cool, and the people are fun, and the food's there, and the coffee's there, and the band's great, and oh, this was fun. No, we're not trying to have people catch a vibe. We're trying to have people catch a vision, that when people come to our church, they see something for themselves. They see something bigger than they saw before, something for themselves, for their family, for their kids, for their spouse, for their business, that we are full of vision here, that you would see something for yourself. So we talked about that the first week, and last week we talked about how does that happen? How do we catch a vision? Well, we're filled with Jesus. We're filled with joy, that it's gonna be difficult to be a big person when you're always an empty person. So last week we talked about what does it mean to be filled to the brim with this thing called joy, this thing called life, that when one of the phrases for this series is we deserve a big life, not because of us, but because of Jesus. We deserve an abundantly filled life. And so today we're finally going to get into what are big people like? How do they talk? How do they act? How do they think? What do they do? What does it mean to be a big person? Well, today we're going to read from the book of Mark, chapter 9 and verse 33. Book of Mark, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, the four Gospels. Mark chapter 9 and verse 33. This is such a funny story to me, and I believe it's going to challenge you. Verse 33, after they arrived, they being the disciples, after they arrived at Capernaum and settled in the house, Jesus' house, who he lived in Capernaum, after they settled in his house, Jesus asked the disciples, what were you discussing on the road? It's a funny question. What were you talking about on your way here, on the way? What were you talking about? But they didn't answer because they had been arguing which of them was the greatest. So he sat down, called the 12 disciples to him, and said, whoever wants to be first must take last place and be the servant of everyone else. Then he put a little child among them, taking the child in his arms, and he said, anyone who welcomes a little child like this on my behalf welcomes me. And anyone who welcomes me welcomes not only me, but also my Father who sent me. I want to dive into that question today. We're going to pray as we get into the word. But I love that. It says after they arrived, they get into the house, they settle down, and then Jesus says, what were you talking about on your way here? What were you guys discussing? What were you guys talking about on your way to my house? And they don't want to answer because they're arguing who was the greatest. Today, I want to talk from the subject, serving reminds me. Serving reminds me. Let's pray as we jump into the word today. Jesus, I thank you for your word. God, I thank you right now for every single person at home, God, wherever they're watching from, just by themselves, with their family, with their friends, God, their neighbors even. God, wherever we're watching from right now, would you invade our homes? Would you invade our minds? Would you invade our hearts, Jesus? Would you do heart surgery today, Jesus? Would you open our mind to see something that you are doing in us, guys? We talk about this amazing and pretty interesting story, God. Would you reveal it to us? Would you reveal yourself to us, Jesus? Would you continue to not just build a big church, but continue to build big people? God, we want to live bigger lives. We want to have bigger vision for ourselves, for our spouses, for our friends, our neighbors, our kids, our businesses. God, we want to think bigger. Would you help us get a bigger vision, God? Build us into big people. In your mighty name I pray. And everyone said, amen. You know, as we're talking about building big people, I begin to think about what are big people like? How do they act? How do they talk? How do they think? What do they do? What does it make people that we're attracted to, that you and I are attracted to? What makes them a big person? What makes them live big lives? What makes them be attractive to us? Why do we want to be like these people? What do they do? And what's interesting to me, I begin to think about some people that I would consider big people. They're living big lives. They're living big marriages. They're raising big kids. They are doing something big in their world, in their life. Once again, we're not talking about big cars and big homes and big wallets and big businesses. That's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about living big lives, having big souls, living big on the inside. We're going to think about these people. Why are they living so big? What is it about them that I want? And I noticed this about some people that I begin to think about. One time I was at a pastor's conference. We actually weren't even supposed to be there. My wife and I were in New York City. We're just on a vacation. We're just hanging out. My wife is from New York, so we're back in New York just hanging out. And we're okay. Let's go see our friend. His name's Chris. And let's go see our friend. They have a Wednesday night service. Let's go see him. And we get there. We didn't know there was a guest speaker. I did not know who this guest speaker was. Never heard his name. Had no idea who he was. I was like, cool. So we sat, listened to the guest speaker. His name was Charles. And he was amazing. And afterward, Chris was like, hey, come to dinner with us. We're absolutely. So my wife and I and him and his wife and some leaders and this guest speaker went out to dinner. I have no idea who this guest speaker is. Never heard his name. We're just interacting. And he finds out that we just planted the church. This is about a year ago. We just recently started the church, and we're getting ready to, process to buy this building. And it was about a year and a half ago. And he's asking me all these questions. How'd you start? And what did you do? And, oh, that's a good idea, and why'd you do that, and how'd you think through that, and if you started over, he's asking me all these questions as if we had a big church and as if we were doing something that was humongous and large, and he was asking me all these questions, and I was there to ask him all these questions, and I finally get him to stop asking me questions. I begin to ask him questions, and come to find out, he has 50,000 people at his church, 50,000 people in Texas, 50,000 people that go to his church. And we're at dinner, and this man is asking me all these questions. How'd you do this? And how'd you hire for a staff member? And why'd you do that series? And how'd you raise leaders? And why'd you do that building? And he's asking me all these questions. And when I get in the car and I find out that this man has 50,000 people at his church, I'm like, why is he asking me questions? I should be asking him questions. Back then, we probably had 700 people, 600 people at the church back then. And I'm like, what is he doing? I should be asking him questions. He has the big church. He has the big staff. He has the big buildings. Why is he busy asking little old me questions? There's many of the people I could think about, not just in church world, but business and entrepreneurship and creative and design and clothing and all the other sectors of life that I've met people that have a big life. And I've noticed this one thing. The people that we love and we think are big people, they don't consider themselves big deals. There's a difference between being a big person and thinking you're a big deal. This guy is living a big life. He's reaching 50,000 people a week and has buildings and has outreaches and he's living a big life, and the church is doing big things. But there's a difference, friends, between living a big life and thinking you're a big deal. You know what's amazing about big people is they don't think they are. And that's what makes them a big person. When you meet these big people that are living big lives, none of them actually think they're living a big life. Isn't it interesting, and you've probably had this happen maybe in your life, that you meet somebody you wanted to meet, that is a big deal, that is a big person, that is living a big life, that your mind's blown that you finally get to meet this person. And then you meet them, and what do you get disappointed about? That they remind you they're a big person. They remind you they're a big deal. Well, hey, you better be real thankful that you get to be at this lunch with me. Do you know how many people would want to be at this lunch with me? Do you know how many young business people would like to be invited into this meeting today? Do you know how many people I have spent an hour? And what do you start getting disappointed about? That they think they're a big deal. And then you get disappointed meeting a hero or meeting somebody you were stoked to meet, and what makes it not as fun as the experience is they think they're a big deal. And it reminds you that they're a big deal and you're not. But I begin to think about these people that are living big lives. They don't think they are. They're always reminded they're not the biggest deal. They're not doing the biggest thing. There's always someone bigger, someone smarter, someone richer, somebody bigger than them. And today I want to talk about serving. Obviously, today is all about serving, and I talked about the serve team and the reason why it's me and 4 or 5 people here because I gave the serve team up. Today I want to talk about big people serve. Now, many of you are like, okay, I was with you week 1. I want a vision. I want to see something. I want to be a big person. I deserve a big life. I want to strive for a big life. Okay, how do I do it? Okay, I get filled with Jesus. I get filled with his joy. I get filled with who he is. Okay, that's how. Now, I want to be a big person. I want to start paradoxically today. I want to start on the reverse side today. How do I become a big person? Don't think you are. How do we live big lives? Don't try to live a big life. How do I live as a big person? Constantly try to become a small person. Today I want to talk about big people serve. Big people serve. Now, many of you guys are like, oh, like volunteering. Oh, you want me to volunteer at the church? You want me to volunteer at the homeless shelter? You want me to volunteer at the cleanup day? You want me to volunteer at our work outreach program? Oh, you want me to volunteer? No, volunteering is different than serving. Let me get through this. What is the difference between a volunteer and a servant? And it really came down to this in my mind. Could be wrong, but this is what came down in my mind. To be a volunteer is a moment, but to be a servant is a lifestyle. Anyone can volunteer for a moment. Just one time, go volunteer at the homeless shelter, go volunteer at the cleanup day. Your company stay late and doing an outreach, you volunteer. The volunteering is much, much different than serving, because volunteering is a moment, serving is an attitude. Serving is a perspective. Servant is a personality. It's a personhood of who we are. And this is how paradoxical God's kingdom is. It's subversive. It is reversing. It is the opposite. That the bigger The bigger lives we become, the more that we serve. Because we're not called to be a big deal, but we're called to live a big life. We're not called just to volunteer. That's a moment, that's a space and time. That's just one thing. I want to volunteer. No, we're not called to be volunteers. We're called to be servants. I want to give you a few thoughts today about servanthood, a few thoughts about serving, a few thoughts about who we are as our church, because this is the reality. Our church is not made off the gifting of a few. It's made off the sacrifice of many. It's not because of Joy and I and a few staff members and a few really gifted people. Our church was not built off gifted people. Our church was built off sacrificial people. Shout out to the Bossa Nova Ballroom, where we started the first year of the church, right here on 8th and Burnside, 7th and Burnside. It's interesting because when you walk into the Bossa Nova Ballroom, you walk straight in, there's just one exit, one door, right in, and you go up 3 flights of stairs just to get to the venue, And then you have to go up another flight to get to the kids' room, which was the second bar that we covered all the alcohol, put pipe and drape everywhere, and had the kids upstairs in the second bar. Our storage unit was in the basement. They allowed us a little, 10 by 10 foot room that all of our band stuff and our welcome team and our kids stuff, and we jam-packed this little 10 by 10 foot storage room on the basement. So in order to get all of our stuff ready for church, we had to go from the basement up all of the flights of stairs, set up the sanctuary, set up the chairs, set up the cafe, set up everything, and then another flight of stairs upstairs to the kids' room. And we would show up every Sunday morning at 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., and set up and down those flights of stairs, sweating, legs hurting, gluteus maximus sore. If you wanted to get your glutes in shape, come be a part of the serve team. We were up and down those stairs. And Julia, myself, the staff, the team, we were there every Sunday morning, 6 a.m. I never showed up to preach. I never showed up when stuff was done. Not because the preaching was the most important part. It was building and serving was the most important part. Our church has been built on, from day one, about serving. And any person that came to me, you can ask, I'm not exaggerating, I'm not making this up. Ask anyone that served at our church from the beginning. Anybody that was like, hey, can I serve? I'm like, absolutely. Well, what do you want to serve in? Why? I can sing. I can play an instrument. I'd like to join the pastoral team. I'd like to join the cafe team. Every single person, we'd ask them to show up at 6:30 a.m. and help on the setup team. Hey, you want to serve? Yeah, we show up every morning at 6:30 a.m. and we load our entire storage room all the way up the flights of stairs. We set up for church. We do 3 services, 10, 12, and 5, and then we tear the entire thing down. We're in at 6:30 and we're out at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, every Sunday. Well, actually, I'm kind of busy, you know. I thought I was signing up for worship, and I thought I was signing up for kids. And what's always interesting to me is how they had time for worship, but they didn't have time for serving. They had time for kids, but they didn't have time for the stairs. They had time for cafe, but they didn't have time for the storage unit. And I love the beginning of our church because it weeded out people that wanted to lead, but didn't want to serve. They wanted to be on stage, but they didn't want to be in the basement. They wanted to play drums, but they didn't want to carry the tote up and down the 4 flights of stairs. It's interesting to me how often we have time to lead, but we don't have time to serve. And friends, I'd like to submit to you, if you are too big to serve, you are too small to lead. If you are too big to go up and down the stairs, if you're too big to carry totes up and down, if you're too big to show up and sanitize everything and wipe everything down, if you're too big to be a part of the serve team, then you're too small to be a part of the leadership team. Why? Because leadership is serving. If you want to grow at your job, serve. If you want to get promoted at your job, serve. If you want the boss to give you more projects, serve. If you want to get better at your career, serve. Everything is about serving. Why? Because we are not called to be a big deal. We're called to be big people. And what do big people like? They're serving. Our church was built not off the gifting of a few, but the sacrifice of hundreds. And it started for myself and Julia and Jake and Lauren and Jeremy and Cassie and Justin and and Camille and Gerald Lamel and that entire team, River Morari, I know I'm forgetting many, Davey, Hiob, Dakota, Mark, shout out Mark and Miriam that had to move back to South Carolina. There was an entire team that showed up every single Sunday, week in and week out. Why? Because our church was built off serving. Now, some of you are like, maybe you already stopped watching. Maybe this is a boring message for you. And you're like, God, this isn't that important. It is for us. If you're going to go to our church, listen, we're not like any other church in this city, and there's many other amazing churches you can go to. But if you're going to go to our church, if you're going to be family here at Rose, we serve. It's who we are. It is embedded into our DNA. Hundreds of people that sacrifice their time, their talent, their treasure, their hours, driving, showing up early, staying late. Why? Because big people serve. That's why. I want to give you 4 thoughts today from Mark chapter 9. Number 1 is this. My title of our talk today, once again, Serving Reminds Me. Serving reminds me. Number 1, serving reminds me to guard my heart. Serving reminds me to guard my heart. I love this. I love Mark chapter 9. Here's Jesus, and he's in his home. By the way, Jesus owned a house. He had a job. He was a carpenter or, a locksmith. No, sorry, not a locksmith, but a blacksmith. He worked with his hands. He was building things with metal and wood and gold and silver. He built things. He worked with his hands, and he owned a home. He owned property. The Bible says he's in his home in Capernaum. He's in his home. The disciples get there from their journey. They're somewhere else. The 12 disciples are somewhere else. They come into his home, and this is amazing. Jesus goes, "What were you guys talking about?" What an interesting question. The disciples walk into the home, not, "Hey, how are you? Have you guys prayed for anyone? Have you healed anyone? Have you given lately?" His first question when his followers, when his leaders come to the house, Jesus goes, "What were you guys talking about on your way?" And then the Bible says in Mark 9, the disciples go, we don't want to say. The Bible says they did not want to answer the question because why? They were arguing about who was the greatest. Can I challenge you when it comes to serving? Guard your ear, because the conversations you have in your ear affect the conversation you have in your heart. When you're serving, as you serve in this house, as you serve at your home with your spouse, as you serve at your job, always guard the conversations you're having on your way to the house. Because the conversations you're having in your ear will change the conversations you have in your heart. And for many of us, I think many people, not only in our church, but other churches, we stop serving not because of our experiences, we stop serving because of our conversations. We don't stop serving because we had a bad experience per se. We stop serving because we had a bad conversation that affected our ear, that got into our heart. Watch people that want to talk to you. Well, they didn't thank you. Guaranteed, right now, I've thanked a lot of people today by name, and I've forgotten some, guaranteed. I've forgotten some names on every team possible that I probably forgot to thank. And people could text you right now, "He didn't thank you. What about you? You've worked just as hard as them. Why didn't he thank you? He didn't mention your name. He didn't mention your serving. You've done as much as them." Of course he names them. And what's happening? On your way to the house, we're having conversations that we shouldn't be having. And I wonder how often Jesus, after a connect group, could sit us down and go, "What were you guys talking about?" And how often would we not want to say? After we're leaving church and we didn't get thanked. We weren't scheduled on time. We switched teams. We got moved to a different team we didn't sign up for because we needed help. Whatever it might be, on your way, someone's, "I can't believe they didn't schedule on time. I can't believe they forgot your name. I can't believe they switched you teams. I can't believe they put them up front. Why did they?" And what starts happening is we start having conversations on our way somewhere that change our perspective, change our heart about serving. After a connect group, after a Sunday on your way home, after a team night, after a leaders meeting, guard your conversations, because whatever conversation you're having in your ear, you will have the same conversation in your heart. And before you know it, you start having a bad perspective about serving. Yeah, they don't thank me. Andrew doesn't call me. I saw the photo. Andrew had other people at his house. Jake had other people at his house. Lauren was out with people. Justin was out with people. Why was it? What is going on? Why are they together? I was in an invite. I didn't go to the birthday party. I get invited to Red Robin. I get invited to Texas. What is going on right now? Why? I don't want to serve anymore. I don't feel thanked. I don't feel welcome. Whoa. Serving reminds me to guard my heart. Serving reminds me to give people the benefit of the doubt. Serving reminds me, oh, they didn't mean that. Oh, I know they're thankful for me. Oh, I know they appreciate what I do. Hey, I know, but no, that's okay. I wasn't invited. That's fine. They just forgot. Don't worry about that. So a serving mindset, a serving heart always gives people the benefit of the doubt, because I don't want to have a conversation on the way to the house, on the way to Jesus' house, and him go, what were you guys talking about? Nothing. Nothing, Jesus. How was Connect Group? Nothing. What are you guys talking about? Nothing. It was good, Jesus. No, because he knows. More often than not, we're having conversations on who's the greatest, who's the most important, who's getting texted, who got invited, who was on stage, who got the gift card, who. Well, because we're having conversations about serving. And if you're not careful, serving will have a negative effect, and it'll get in your heart, and you'll start being bitter to other people. And then you say things like this, I'm just gonna take a break from serving for a bit. I'm just gonna take a break for a while. Why? Because you had conversations that got in your ear, that worked their way down to your mouth, and they got into your heart. Do you know what serving reminds me? It reminds me to guard my heart. Guard my heart. So many of you right now, I want to challenge you, whether you're watching this right now live on Sunday morning, or Tuesday, or Friday, or next Saturday, whenever you're watching this, wherever you're watching this from, ask the Holy Spirit, oh, guard my heart. Don't let me start thinking too big. Don't let me start thinking, I need this and I need that, and why didn't they, and why didn't this, and where are they at? I don't know. Jesus, guard my heart. I don't want to have conversations that lead me astray. I don't want to have conversations that lead me away from the house. Guard my mind, guard my heart, guard my thoughts. I don't want to be distant. Jesus, guard my heart. And this, I wrote this down. I'm doing heart surgery today. I'm in some of your business right now. You can hide your character in community, but you cannot hide it in serving. It's impossible. You can hide in connect groups. You can hide in community. You can learn yourself enough not to talk that way and hide this about you and hide that about you. You can hide who you are in community for a while. Do you know where you can't hide? Serving. Serving is something that brings things out of you. It draws something unique out of you, different than Connect Group, different than community groups, different than the hangouts, different than the parties, different than all of those things. Serving does something different to you. It opens up a new side of who you are. It opens up a new aspect of your heart. You can hide in Connect Groups, but you can't hide in serving. Serving exposes you. It exposes who you are. Because every time that we start feeling elevated, serving brings us right back down. Every time we start thinking we're a big deal, and the church wouldn't happen without me, and the boss wouldn't be there without me, and this project would never happen without me, and that new aspect of the company would never happen without me. That would have been a train wreck. When we start elevating ourselves, serving has a tendency of bringing us right back down to reality. And this is why. We all like being a servant until we're treated like one. It's always interesting to me that we make prayers at altars, we make prayers in our journals, we tweet things, we write things, we tell people, I want to be used, Jesus, use me. And then we leave churches because we feel used. We just make these simple prayers like, God, just use me. I want to do something for your kingdom. I want to do something for the church. I want to live life bigger than myself. Jesus, use me. And then 4 months later, we're leaving the church because we feel used, not appreciated, not thanked. And serving got into our heart because, in a negative way, because we didn't guard our heart. I want to be a big person. I want to live a big life. It's all about serving. Not volunteering, serving. The first thing that serving reminds me is guard my heart. The second thing that serving reminds me. I'm going to take this once again from Mark chapter 9. Serving reminds me the process matters more than the prayer. The process matters more than the prayer. This is my favorite. This is so, I love Jesus. His disciples come in, and he goes, what were you guys talking about? And they go, nothing, because they were arguing about who's the greatest. They didn't even answer the question, but Jesus knows. It was a rhetorical question if you haven't picked up yet. Jesus knows what they're talking about, which is really scary because Jesus knows what you're talking about. They go, nothing. We're talking about nothing. And Jesus goes, boys, come here, sit down. Sit down. So you want to be the greatest, be the servant of all. So you want to be first, you actually have to be last and be the servant of all. You know what's interesting is Jesus doesn't knock their want of being great. He challenges their process in which they take to be great. You wanting to be good, you wanting to be great is not bad. I didn't want to plant a bad church. My wife and I, when we started praying about planting the church, we were like, let's plant a bad church. Let's plant a church that doesn't grow. Let's plant a church that has no money, no people. We just want to be small. This isn't a false humility thing. We just want to be small. We just want to be tiny. We don't want to make an impact. We don't want to do anything big because God's called us to be humble and small. No, this is not some false. We wanted to plant a great church. And I believe because of the team that God has given us, we have a great church. The desire to be great and have a great business and raise great kids and have a great entrepreneurship and be a great entrepreneur and have a great art career, design and freelance and nurse and doctor and business and all the things that you can do in life. There's nothing bad about wanting to be great. It's a process in which you take to be great. So Jesus says, boys, do you want to be great? I know you're talking about this on the way to my house. I know you guys want to be great. I know you guys are arguing about who's the best. Okay, you want to be great? Be serving. Be a servant of all. You guys want to be the best? You want to be on top? That's fine. I'm not knocking your prayer. I'm not knocking your desire. Let's just talk about how you get there. It's a reverse dog pile. The world is trying to get to the top as fast as they can. The kingdom is trying to get to the bottom as fast as we can. This kingdom is upside down. In that kingdom, you backstab people, you cross people, you get as high as you can, as fast as you can, however you can, whatever way you get there. Let's just get to the top as fast as we can. In this kingdom, it's let's get to the bottom as fast as we can. Let's become the lowest as fast as we can. Not as like a false humility, like, oh, woe is me, and I'm not good at this. No, it's okay, I'm not bad. And for me, I had to learn, to be real honest, after I preached really well. People go, you preached really well today. I'm like, oh, no, it wasn't me. No, it was me. I'm the one that spoke. After people lead worship, man, Jake and Julia, you did awesome at worship today. No, it wasn't me. It was the Holy Spirit. No, it wasn't. Yeah, we know what you're saying. It was the Holy Spirit on you and in you, but you sang those songs. Your voice sounds that way. You preached that way. You designed that. You drew that. You took those photos. You had that idea. We need to understand, yes, I've done my best with my gifting. I tried my hardest today. I did my very best. I put time and hours and skill into my craft. I'm doing my best. Why? Because this isn't some false humility thing. This isn't something like, no, woe is me. But no, I want to be great, but I just want to make sure I take the right path. I make the right decisions. I don't cut corners. Because this is what happens when it comes to the process. Is the hallway reveals motive. Hallways reveal motive. Okay. Andrew, what's a hallway? It's when you aren't where you used to be, but you're not where you want to be, and you feel stuck in the middle, and you're waiting for the new door to open, you're waiting to lead worship, you're waiting for the promotion, you're waiting for the manager job, you're waiting for the raise, you're waiting to lead. You're not where you used to be, but you're not where you want to be, and you feel like where you're going to be. You're in this middle space just waiting. And I think for so many of us, the reason why God allows us to spend some time in the hallway, it's because motives are revealed. Process is revealed. our inner world is revealed. Well, if I knew it was going to take this long, I would have served the church anyway. Well, if I knew they were going to let her lead before me, I wouldn't have stepped out anyway. Well, if I knew they were going to promote him over me first, I wouldn't have put my job application out. Well, if I knew they got the job first, I would have. What starts happening when you're in the hallway? Motives are revealed. Process is revealed. The reason why you're doing what you're doing is revealed. Hallways are a mirror of what you're doing and why. Oh, friend, I'm not saying just be false humility, don't want to be good, don't want to be great, I just want to be low. I'm not saying that at all. Desire to be great. Paul says in the New Testament, you desire good things to be a pastor, a teacher, a leader. He names all this list. You desire good things. A desire to be great is not bad. A desire to leave something behind, I call a legacy. A desire to do something with your hours here on earth is not bad, friends, but the process in which we take is all that matters. Jesus goes, boys, you want to be great? Awesome. Let's talk about serving. Let's talk about attitude. Let's talk about how you're going to become great. My third observation for the day. Is this helping anyone? I know I'm here by myself, sitting on stage with me and 4 or 5 people, but I hope this is helping you today. My third observation. Serving reminds me. This is not the pathway to greatness, it is greatness. Serving reminds me that serving is not the pathway to greatness, it is greatness. So now some of you are like, oh, okay, so I got it. There's a process. There's a way to do this. I need to serve to be great. No. You missed it. You missed the point. Serving is greatness. Serving isn't the pathway on your way to be great. Serving itself is greatness. So this isn't, once again, I'm not trying to give you a shortcut process. Well, how do you become great? Just serve your way there. As long as you serve, you're going to be great. No. It's actually the opposite. Serving is greatness. Serving is not going to take you to be great. Serving is greatness. Think about it, Jesus. His whole plan is to come and build a new kingdom. Come and become a king. And all the disciples and all the Jews believed that Jesus was going to come and start the kingdom physically. So they were so devastated and so depressed and distraught when Jesus died, because they were like, we thought he was coming to start this kingdom. I thought he was going to overthrow Rome and get at Caesar out and start this new kingdom here. Like, I thought it was going to be physically built here now. They were so confused on what Jesus was actually doing. And how does Jesus come to start this kingdom? How does he come to announce that he's the new king? Not with a scepter, but with a towel. Right before Jesus dies, he washes his disciples' feet. And by the way, he washed Judas's feet. What kind of king washes the feet of a man that's about to betray him? A serving king. You're talking about being a big person? Wash the feet of somebody who's about to stab you in the back. Serve someone that's about to cross you. Serve someone that's about to sell you for 30 pieces of silver to the Roman government. And Jesus, before he dies, before he does the biggest thing any human could ever do, dies for the sins of humanity, he washes his disciples' feet. And he gets to Peter. Peter, let me wash your feet. And Peter goes, absolutely not. You cannot wash my feet, Jesus. We should be washing your feet. And Jesus goes, if I can't wash your feet, you have no part of me, Peter. Yeah, I love you and I are Peter. Peter goes, wash my whole body. Wash my hair, wash my face, wash my hands. Jesus, wash my whole body then, Jesus. He goes from, please don't wash my feet. I need to wash your feet. Jesus goes, if I don't serve you, you're not a part of me. And then Peter goes, wash my whole body, Jesus. And then Jesus, what? He's proving leadership is not leading with a scepter. It's leading with a towel. This king came to start a new kingdom, not on a throne with a scepter, but on a donkey with a towel. Jesus says in Mark 10, later we could read it, but we don't have time. Jesus tells his disciples, I didn't come to be served, I came to serve. Jesus is saying, no, I didn't come to be served, I came to serve. So I want to ask you a question today. If serving is below you, why was it not below Jesus? And think about, you're upset that you're not being thanked for how often you serve. How often do we forget to thank Jesus for the breath that we just took? For the life that we don't deserve? For the marriage and the kids that we don't deserve? For the money, for the job, for the career, for the opportunities that we don't deserve? You want to talk about anybody feeling underthanked? It's probably the King of the universe. And he didn't leave us. He's like, all right, they stopped thanking me. No more answered prayers. They stopped thanking me. No more supernatural money. Jesus understands there's going to be times where we just forget to thank him. And if we're forgetting to thank Jesus, how much more are we forgetting to thank each other? Whether this church or any other church, your job, your business, your family, your friends, you're going to have times of not being thanked. And that's okay, because I'm not serving on my way to greatness. Serving is greatness. Do you know why? Because the greatest person ever served. Not with a scepter, with a towel. Serving reminds me, it is greatness. The last one. I hope this has been encouraging to you. The last thing that serving reminds me, number 4, serving reminds me it's not all about me. It's not all about me. I know your mom tells you it is, okay, but it's not all about you. I know your best friends tell you it's all about you. I know your boss thinks it's all, but listen, it's not all about you. Listen, I have an iPhone, like, I get it, but everything's I, right? iPhone, iPad, iWatch, I. Everything is about me. Why'd you leave the church? Because I wasn't fed. Why'd you leave? Because I wasn't thanked. Why'd you leave? Because I wasn't appreciated. Why'd you leave? Because I didn't get the opportunity. Why'd you leave? Because I didn't get the job. Why'd you quit that job? Because I didn't get promoted. Why'd you leave the relationship? Because I wasn't loved. Why? Everything's I. It's rarely them. Her. Serving reminds me, every time I serve, it's not all about me. I know I've been told this, but on the contrary, I am not the center of the world. It's not all about me. And every time my gifting starts elevating me, to think it's all about me, serving brings me right back down. He goes, it's actually not all about you. The business will go on without you. Have you ever noticed, like, if you could take your phone and turn it off, and then you can turn it back on, and the world was still going? Guess what? If you turn your phone off and you leave like the world for a bit, you don't tweet. And by the way, when you're taking a social media sabbatical, you don't need to tell everybody you're taking one. It's hilarious. Like, hey, by the way, bye guys, I'm gone for 2 weeks. As you're telling people you're leaving social media, you have to tell them on social media that you're leaving. Just leave. Just be gone for a month. You don't have to tell everyone. But you know what's interesting? If you turn your phone off and you just like exit from the world, you know what's wild? When you come back, the world's gonna still be going. Your job is still gonna be there. The church is still gonna be there. No, please don't take this negatively, like you don't matter. Please don't take this extreme and say something I'm not saying. I'm not saying like you don't matter. If you leave, nothing changes. You matter. I hope you're hearing the principle of what I'm saying is just, it's not all about me. I'm not the center of the world. I'm not the center of the church. I'm not the center of the team. I'm not the center of the business. Why? Because being a big person is different than thinking you're a big deal. Once again, I'm not saying this is some false humility, woe is me talk. It's the reminder our church is built off serving. God's kingdom is built off serving. You want to live a big life? Serve. You want to be a big person? Serve. Why? Because serving guards my heart. Serving guards my heart. Serving makes me check my process. I want to be great. How am I doing it? How am I thinking? Serving reminds me I'm not on my way to greatness. Serving is greatness. And most importantly, serving reminds me it's not all about me. I love Psalms 84. I'm going to read all 10 verses. I think the only 10th verse is going to pop up. But I'm going to read all 10 verses because it's David's thoughts about God, about his house. I want you to just listen to this. How lovely is your dwelling place, O Lord, heaven's armies. I long, yes, I faint with longing to enter the courts of the Lord, the house of God. With my whole being, body and soul, I will shout joyfully to the living God. Even the sparrow finds a home, and the swallow builds her nest and raises her young at a place near your altar. O Lord of heaven's armies, my King and my God. What joy for those who can live in your house, always singing your praises. What joy for those whose strength comes from the Lord, who have set their minds on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. When they walk through the valley of weeping, it will become a place of refreshing. I love that. When they walk through the valley of weeping, it will become a place of refreshing. The autumn rains with clothe in its blessings. They continue to grow stronger, and each of them appear before God in Jerusalem. O Lord God of heaven's armies, hear my prayer. Listen, O God of Jacob. O God, look with favor upon the King of Shield. Our shield shows favor to you, the one who has anointed. Verse 10. A single day in your courts is better than 1,000 elsewhere. I would rather be a gatekeeper in the house of my God than live the good life in the homes of the wicked. I would rather be a gatekeeper. Lord, this all 10 verses is about the Lord's house. I faint, I want to be in your house. Oh, blessed is the one that lives in your house. I long to sing your praises. I long to be in your house. Oh, blessed is the one that sings praise. What is Psalms 84, the first 10 verses all about? How David thinks about the Lord's house. And he ends in verse 10 and says, I'd rather be a gatekeeper. I'd rather be a no one if I could just be in his house. I don't care about prestige and being certain positions. I just want to be in the house. I'd rather serve. I've said this all along. If you serve in our teams, once again, I know some of you have not seen our church in full force the last 9 months because of COVID. I love our church. Our serving teams are machines. That's one of I miss worshiping with you guys. I miss preaching with the pastor room. But one of the main things I miss about our church is watching people serve with smiles on their face. I love watching CFOs and CEOs drive the golf carts and pick people up. I love watching managers be on the welcome team. I love watching bosses serve in the cafe team. Why? Because we're here to build something bigger than ourselves. A kingdom that will outlast every one of us on this earth. The church happened before you, and the church is going to be here after you. Because he's building something bigger than any single person, and we are honored to just be in the room, to just serve. I love people like Kyle and Lindsay, who serve above and beyond. People like Jake and Alexis Woosley, people like Mike Gislin, people like Cody and Hannah Thielen, people like Gerald and Andrea that lead our whole creative team. All the designs that you guys love, they lead. People like Gabe. Shout out Gabe. Before we left the boss, we had to pay for a sound guy because it wasn't our venue. So we had to pay for a sound guy. He came with us, so we kept paying him when he came. His name was Justin. He had to leave and go back to Austin, Texas. We had no sound guy. And I was like, Gabe, can you replace Justin? We have no sound guy. It was like a week before. We have no sound guy. Gabe, can you do? I found out he can do sound. I was like, Gabe, can you please do sound? I was like, by the way, we pay our sound guy. Gabe, we'll pay you as well. It's a lot of hours. It's long days. It's days off. We'll pay you. Shout out to Gabe. And he looks at me and goes, absolutely not, I'll never let you pay me. I was like, for what? What are you talking about? It's 20 hours a week for you to get all this stuff ready. And he goes, I refuse to get paid for doing something that other people are doing just as hard and just excellently. I'm not the only one that's about to get paid. I can shout out many other people that are doing the same thing. But the reality is our church is built off people that want to serve. They're thankful to be a part of the team. I don't care what my career is out there. I'll serve coffee. I'll drive the golf carts. I'll check kids in. I'll hold a sign and smile. Do you know why? Because no matter what position you're serving, you're preaching the gospel. That's right. Cafe team, you are preaching the gospel. Parking lot team, you're preaching the gospel. Audio visual, preaching the gospel. Kids check-in, preaching the gospel. Admin team, getting the room prepped and ready and easy to go through the day with our processes. Admin team, you're preaching the gospel. All the people putting stuff in the pews, you're preaching the gospel. It's not just me. It's not when I get up to open up the Bible that the gospel has started. Oh, no, friends. The gospel started the minute they pulled in that parking lot. And they saw a smiling face, and they saw someone get him in the golf cart and bring him to church. No, the gospel started when they got waved at 50,000 times. The gospel started when the signs were out there. The gospel started when someone gave them a donut and a cup of coffee. The gospel has been started from the minute they enter our vicinity called Rose Church. It's not just started when I get up to preach. Worship has not begun when the band starts singing. Oh, the worship has been going all day long. Why? Because we are preaching the gospel. We are worshiping together. It's not just me and the band. Well, that's the stage. That's the most important. Although we are all on the same playing field. We are preaching the gospel together. And we're all doing it at the same level. There's not levels of more important from the band to the creative to the team to the sound to the kids to set up and tear down to the cleanup team to admin to cafe to parking lot to all 21 teams design. People you don't even know what they do. Photography team, you never even see their faces. They make our church what it is. So shout out to every single volunteer. Shout out to every admin person, every cafe person, every setup and tear down person, all the parking lot team with Spencer and Gus, to the kids with Danny McKenzie, to events with Kyle and Lindsay, to hosts with Chelsea and Janet and Trent, to cafe, which was Katie, but that's changing. Other people are involved. And there's to Jake and to Julia and to Cynthia and to Ruth and to Kaylee and to Benjamin, to the entire team that serves with worship every single week. I could go down the list, and I don't want to keep naming people because I'm going to forget people. And they're like, oh, I forgot your name. I forget so many names. But the reality is, our church is made up by not the gifting of a few, but the sacrifice of many. We're not building a big church. We're building a big people. And how do we become big people? We serve. Not volunteer. Well, volunteering is one thing. We're called to be servant-minded people. Servant-minded people. Let me pray for you as we end our time today. Shout out to Cameron, Madison, Zeke, Gabe. Who else is back there? I'm forgetting someone. I can't see. Casey and who else is back there? I can't see. To Cody. Sorry, I can't see back there. Shout out to those 5 people that showed up this morning and still had to serve, even though everybody else was at home hanging out. Those 5 did have to show up and make sure that today could happen. Shout out to Micah Murari, who started our Rose Kids team. I'm seeing all your guys' chats right here. Shout out to Micah Murari, who set up our entire Rose Kids team from the Photon to the Boss to the VMAC. And the reason why it is where it is right now is because of Micah Murari. Shout out to both of you guys. Love you. Let's pray today as we end our time. Jesus, we thank you for your word. So we thank you that you came not to be served, but to serve. And God, even this morning, though it was silly and it was fun, this is the reality what church would be like if nobody decided to serve. Rooms would be empty, no worship, no band, no check-in, check-out. God, services would be so different if people didn't decide to serve, give their time, give their energy, give their resource. God, I thank you that you have built our church off serving. God, I pray for those that do have some stuff in their heart, in their mind that needs to be plucked out. They've been having conversations that did not need to be had. God, guard our ear, guard our heart, guard our mouth about this thing called serving. We're not called to be volunteers. We're called to be servants. God, remind us that we are just honored to be in the room. I thank you for hundreds of people, God. I know I named some. I forgot the majority. God, but you don't forget. You see everything. Even things I don't see, the staff, team leads. God, you see everything of people serving and going above and beyond. I thank you for it. In your mighty, mighty name I pray. Amen. Hey, as we end today, two things. Number one, if you're just joining us, we have welcome dinner that's coming up. If you're like, hey, this is the church for me, this link popped up, someone shared it to me, I was scrolling, this was on my advertising page, and I watched service today. I'd like to be part of that church. Join welcome dinner. There's only a few spots left this Wednesday night. Join welcome dinner, or if you've already done welcome dinner in the past and you don't serve anywhere, you haven't served here at the church, and you want to join our teams, we have welcome to teams happening next Sunday, the 11th, next Sunday. Sign up for that, but you have to do welcome dinner first and then welcome the teams. Join our serve team, join the family. I love you. Have a great, great week. Remember to give today. Let's be generous with our finances. Let's be generous with our time. Join up for serving. Also, it's Connect Week, starting again tomorrow. Find one. Love you guys. Have a great week. Thank you for joining us today.